Hello. Hello, 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 hello. And welcome to Veda ASMR. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you're having a very good night or day whenever you're watching this. So, today I'm going to be doing a sort of highly requested video from my latest post. I put up a post asking for some ideas for non-roleplay videos that you would like to see on my channel, and you guys came through with a lot of great requests for me, so I very much appreciate that. And one that seemed very popular was to read you some bedtime stories. So I got, I went to my local used bookstore and I picked up this book, Treasury of Bedtime Stories. So I will be reading to you from this book. I'm going to change the angle in a moment, and I will let you look at the pictures with me and read along if that's something you're interested in. I'll probably do a little bit of tracing of the photos as I read, because I find that just a relaxing visual trigger. Bedtime stories. Sort of trace that. Left hand. So, yeah, we'll just read a couple of these together and just have a nice, relaxing time. I hope to have another roleplay out later this week, but I don't know. Thank you guys so much for all of your kind comments and the positive feedback that I have been getting, and really any constructive feedback I appreciate, especially when it's given with such niceness. I've had on my medical roleplays some really helpful feedback from actual medical professionals, so thank you for that, especially with how nicely you've been giving that feedback. I really appreciate it. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and change the angle, and we'll get right into these nice bedtime stories to help you sleep. Okay. First off, I think I might have failed to mention it in the intro, but this video is largely inspired by an older video from ASMR Requests, Allie, and where she got a book from the thrift store with, it's a fairy tale anthology from the thrift store, and she read some stories out of it while using this type of angle and tracing the pages, and I thought that was just really, really nice. So check that out if you want more like this, but onward. So we are on the table of contents page. We have Goldilocks and the Three Bears, Hansel and Gretel, Henny Penny, Puss in Boots, Jack and the Beanstalk, the Little Red Hen, Snow White, the Three Little Pigs, the Tortoise and the Hare, the Steadfast Tin Soldier, Cinderella, the Ugly Duckling, the Pied Piper of Hamelin, I think that's how you say it, Sleeping Beauty, Rumpelstiltskin, the Three Billy Goats Gruff, Beauty and the Beast, Little Red Riding Hood, and the Gingerbread Man. So, how about we start right at the beginning with Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And on that first page we can see our three bears. Mama Bear, Daddy Bear, Baby Bear, and Goldilocks. There once was a family of three bears. There was a great big Papa Bear, a middle-sized Mama Bear, and a wee little Baby Bear. The three bears lived in a cozy little house right in the middle of the forest. The three bears always started each day in the very same way. First, they washed their faces and paws with sparkling fresh water and sweet-smelling soap. Then they made their beds and fluffed their feather pillows. After they were dressed for the day, they went downstairs for a nice breakfast of delicious porridge. I think there they are eating their porridge. One bright morning, Mama Bear cooked the porridge and called her family for breakfast, just as she did every day, rain or shine. She spooned the porridge into their 3 bowls, and they all sat down to eat. "It's too hot," exclaimed Baby Bear, tasting the porridge in his wee little bowl. "We must let the porridge cool for a little while," agreed Papa Bear and Mama Bear, after they tasted the porridge in their bowls. The 3 bears decided to go for a walk while their hot breakfast cooled. Mama Bear took her basket in case they happened to find ripe blackberries to put on top of their porridge. So there's the 3 bears. Mama Bear has her basket. And Baby Bear looks like he has a net. Maybe he's going to catch bugs. Now, it just so happens that a little girl named Goldilocks was out walking in the woods that morning all by herself. She had been walking since quite early and was feeling rather tired. She was hungry as well, because she had left her house without eating breakfast. When Goldilocks saw the little bear's house, she thought it was the perfect place to rest. Goldilocks marched right up to the front door and knocked. But there was no answer. The bears were still out taking their walk. So Goldilocks just let herself in. Goldilocks saw the 3 bowls of porridge. Her mouth started to water and her stomach started to rumble at once. She decided that she simply must taste the porridge. First, she dipped the spoon into the great big bowl that belonged to Papa Bear. "Ooh, this porridge is too hot," she cried. Next, she tried the middle-sized bowl that belonged to Mama Bear. "This porridge is too cold," she said. Last, she had a taste from the wee little bowl that belonged to Baby Bear. "This porridge is just right," she said, and she gobbled it all up. After she had eaten the porridge, Goldilocks wanted to rest. She went into the bear's sitting room where she saw 3 chairs. First, she sat down on the great big chair. "This chair is too hard," she said. Next, she tried the middle-sized chair. "This chair is too soft," she said, struggling to get out. Last, she tried the wee little chair that was just the right size for her to sit in. "This chair is just right," she smiled. Goldilocks sat down so hard that the wee little chair broke to pieces. That chair. By this time, Goldilocks was very sleepy. She tiptoed up the stairs and found 3 beds. First, she lay down in the great big bed. "This bed is too high at the head," she said. Next, she tried the middle-sized bed. "This bed is too high at the foot," she frowned. Last, Goldilocks lay down on Baby Bear's wee little bed, and she said, "This bed is just right." Soon, Goldilocks fell fast asleep. A short time later, the 3 bears returned home from their walk. They noticed right away that things were not quite right. Papa Bear looked at his great big bowl of porridge and said in a great big voice, "Someone has been eating my porridge." Mama Bear looked at her middle-sized bowl of porridge and said in her middle-sized voice, "Someone has been eating my porridge." Baby Bear looked at his wee little bowl and said in his wee little voice, "Someone has been eating my porridge and has eaten it all up." The 3 bears then went into their sitting room. When he saw his great big chair, Papa Bear said in his great big voice, "Someone has been sitting in my chair." Mama Bear looked at her middle-sized chair and said in her middle-sized voice, "Someone has been sitting in my chair." Baby Bear looked at his wee little chair and cried in his wee little voice, "Someone has been sitting in my chair and has broken it all to pieces." brothers went up the stairs to their bedroom. Papa Bear looked at his great big bed and said in his great big voice, "Someone has been sleeping in my bed." When Mama Bear looked at her middle-sized bed, she said in her middle-sized voice, "Someone has been sleeping in my bed." Baby Bear looked at his wee little bed and cried in his wee little voice, "Someone has been sleeping in my bed, and there she is." Baby Bear's wee little voice woke Goldilocks. She sat up to find the 3 bears staring at her. They did not look pleased to see her. Quick as a wink, she rolled out of bed and ran straight to the window. She jumped right out and ran off as fast as her legs would carry her. The 3 bears never saw Goldilocks again. There she is running away. Poor Baby Bear in this one though, man, he had no porridge. She broke his chair. She's sleeping in his bed when he gets home. Okay, let's read Hansel and Gretel. Okay, Hansel and Gretel. Long ago, a woodcutter lived on the edge of a large forest with his 2 children and his wife, who was the children's stepmother. The woodcutter's son was called Hansel, and his daughter Gretel. Although the woodcutter worked hard, he was very poor. One year there was a terrible famine in the land. The woodcutter did not have enough food for his family. Look at their crumbs on their plates. The woodcutter's wife complained that the whole family would soon die of hunger. So one night, she told her husband that he must take the children deep into the woods and leave them there. Hansel heard them talking and told Gretel about their stepmother's idea. The children were both very frightened. Then Hansel made a plan. Later that night, when his parents were sleeping and the moon was high, the boy sneaked outside and gathered as many white pebbles as his pockets would hold. The next morning, the stepmother told Hansel and Gretel that they were all going to gather firewood. As they walked deeper and deeper into the woods, Hansel would stop now and then to look toward the house. Hansel was scolded by his stepmother for being so slow, but he was really dropping white pebbles to mark his way home. You see, she looks very grumpy. It's like she's dragging Gretel along. When they finally stopped, the woodcutter built a fire and left the children some crusts of bread for their supper. He said he and his wife would return when they were done cutting wood. Hansel and Gretel knew that they would not be back. They slept for a while by the fire, waiting for nightfall. Then, with the moonlight shining on the white pebbles, Hansel and Gretel followed the trail straight back to their home. "You bad children," cried the stepmother when she saw Hansel and Gretel. "Why did you sleep so long?" But she was secretly angry that they had returned. The next day, the woman made her husband lead Hansel and Gretel back into the woods. This time, the woodcutter led Hansel and Gretel deeper into the forest. Hansel had not had time to gather pebbles, so he crumbled his bread and left a trail of breadcrumbs instead. Hansel and Gretel slept until the moon rose. Then they searched for a path of breadcrumbs, but the bread had been eaten by the birds in the forest, so they could not find their way home. There they are. They look so sad. They searched until they were so tired that they had to stop and sleep. The next morning they searched again. Then Hansel and Gretel saw a beautiful white bird who sang so sweetly they followed him as he flew from branch to branch. Oh, yum. Soon they found themselves in a small field where they saw the most amazing house. It was made of gingerbread, with a roof of icing and windows made of sugar. The children were so hungry they didn't stop to think. They each broke off a piece of the house and started to eat it. No sooner had they stuffed their mouths than they heard a gentle voice calling, "Nibble, nibble like a mouse. Who's that nibbling at my house?" The door to the house opened, there stood an old woman leaning on a heavy cane. Hansel and Gretel were so frightened that they dropped what they were eating. The woman smiled and invited Hansel and Gretel into her house. Seeing how hungry and tired they were, she gave them a wonderful dinner of pancakes and apples. Then she made up beds for them and put them right to sleep, as kind as any grandmother. Those pancakes look good. Butter, syrup, the apples, milk. Hansel and Gretel did not know that the woman who seemed so nice was really a wicked witch. Before Hansel and Gretel awoke the next morning, the witch carried Hansel to a little cage that she had built and locked him inside. Oh, there he is in the cage. Poor Hansel. Now, she cackled, I'll fatten him up, and he'll make a tasty treat for me to eat. Then she woke poor Gretel and ordered her to fetch water and cook food for Hansel, because she wanted him to grow plump. Hansel and Gretel cried and begged to be set free, but the witch just laughed. Each day, the witch, who could not see very well, wanted to feel Hansel's fingers through the bars of the cage. She wanted to know whether he was getting plump enough to eat. But he cleverly gave her only an old bone to feel. She thought he was still much too thin for her to eat. Oh, uh-oh. 4 weeks went by, and Hansel didn't seem to grow any fatter. Gretel could see that the witch was becoming very impatient. One morning, the witch ordered Gretel to make a fire. After a while, she told Gretel to climb up into the oven to see if the fire was ready. But Gretel said, "How can I get into the oven to see?" The witch became angry at that and climbed up into the oven to show Gretel how to look at the fire. Quick as a wink, Gretel gave the witch a hard shove that sent her tumbling all the way in. Then she banged the door shut. Gretel ran to free Hansel. Now that they had nothing to fear, they explored the witch's house. They found boxes of jewels and gold coins in every corner. The children filled their pockets with riches and set out to find their way home. Before they had gone very far, they came to the edge of a wide lake. "How will we ever cross without a bridge or a boat?" asked Hansel. "Here comes a swan," answered Gretel. "I will ask her if she can help us." The good bird agreed to carry them across the lake, one at a time. Once on the other side, Hansel and Gretel found themselves in a familiar little wood. Soon they were running down the path for home. The woodcutter cried tears of joy to see his children once again. He had not had one moment of peace since he had left them in the forest, and his wife had died while they were gone. Gretel emptied the jewels from her apron into her father's lap. Pearls and rubies scattered onto the floor. Hansel added handfuls of gold from his pockets. Hansel and Gretel and their father lived happily for the rest of their days with the help of the witch's gold. You see it spilling out of their pockets. So that is the end of Hansel and Gretel. And that is going to be the end of our video for tonight. But if you would like to see more of these stories or some different stories, please let me know. I also ordered a book of illustrated Greek mythology, so I will be reading from that as well, if it's something you would like to see. I hope that you have enjoyed this, found it relaxing, and thank you again for this wonderful suggestion to do this video. I will see you soon, and I hope you have a great night's sleep.